Hello everyone and welcome to this presentation. My name is Stella Masia and I'm a member of the R&D communications teams in Logos Global. In this video, we present the new version of Rigora, our ultra-powerful desktop localization QA tool. Rigora is an intuitive and easy-to-use software that adds a powerful tool to your toolbox. The breakthrough major release of Rigora 2.0 allows for even faster performance, 300 plus checks, and a plethora of new features such as logical combinations and full customization of checks, processing of tags during spell check, and many more. We will take a closer look at them very soon. Rigora has been developed to enhance productivity of translators, editors, software and content engineers, project managers, and of course QA engineers, and now it is of great help to data scientists. With Rigora, you can perform the most advanced technical and linguistic checks on localized files in seconds, as well as many data processing and format conversion tasks. The use cases of Rigora include translators, editors, and project managers performing technical and linguistic quality checks on the content before delivery to the client or the next workflow step, engineers and QA managers conducting quality control and data manipulation tasks, data scientists completing file cleanup and TM support, but terminologists, testers, and developers can also benefit from Rigora. An important quality of Rigora 2.0 is its ultra-fast computing thanks to the in-memory processing. In this slide, you can see some tests that we completed with Rigora and the impressive numbers. Rigora is faster because it does not read the files, it does not import them, it just adds them to the list, and only when you run the check does Rigora read the file and load it all into the memory. Therefore, its checks are accomplished via in-memory processing, which ensures extremely fast checking, even for very large projects comprised of thousands of files. It would take hours to create project content with several million lines in a CAD tool to perform these checks. Rigora needs just seconds because of its in-memory computing technology. Another very helpful feature worth mentioning is Rigora's user interface. You see how it looks? It's a very transparent and user-friendly interface. It was developed using Microsoft's Visual Studio and looks like Visual Studio with all its advanced ergonomics. Here are the main components of the user interface: the project window, which contains the project components and files, the checks window. This shows the myriad checks available. The check results window, this will display the errors after you run a check, like an error list. And the main window, the content window, which displays the source and target text segments after you open a project or a file. Now let's open Rigora and take a closer look at its features. So this is Rigora. That's how my UI looks like initially. And let's create a new project to see how this works. From the ribbon up here, we click File, and we see there are three main options. We have the new project, to create a new project by importing the files that we want, which is what we are going to select for now. We also have the option of Open Project, to open an already existing project, and we also have Open File. So what is great about Rigora is that it allows you to open just a single file for checks, without the need to create a project for this, and without this posing any limit on the functionality of the checks. That's a very useful and flexible feature that not many tools offer. So there's the option of, for example, so this is Rigora. That's how my UI looks like initially. And let's create a new project to see how this works. From the ribbon up here, we click File, and we see there are three main options. We have the new project, to create a new project by importing the files that we want, which is what we are going to select for now. We also have the option of Open Project, to open an already existing project, and we also have Open File. So what is great about Rigora is that it allows you to open just a single file for checks without the need to create a project for this and without this posing any limit on the functionality of the checks. That's a very useful and flexible feature that not many tools offer. So there's the option of, for example, opening 5 files individually, one by one, and do the same checks on them even if they are not included in a project, which sometimes at least looks easier. But bear in mind that when you close Rigora, you will also have to reopen them one by one. Or you can create a project with numerous files and use the project as a container, let's say, for files themselves, all the settings, for all the changes you make to the files. And including them into a project will allow you, of course, to open them all at once by opening the project. So if you work with typical projects, it's recommended to create a settings file and export it. And then you can replicate the settings in a new project by importing these settings. But back to our case, we select new project, and in this new window is where we name the project and we choose the location where we will save it. I say test1 and save. That's where I'm gonna save it. And now in this new window, we see this is the project properties window, and in the general tab, we can see the info related to the name and the path of the project. And we also see here in the documents mode, the option embedded in the project. So what does this mean? If you work with standalone files, all changes are written directly to the files. But if you work with project files, you can choose between the mode of embedded in the project or the in-file changes, relative or standalone. A project with embedded changes does not make any changes to the files within the project, does not override the target files, but rather it saves all changes to the main Rigora file. This, of course, ensures additional protection of the files. The embedded mode is a default setting for projects, but you can change it to the mode of in-file changes to override if you decide that you want to override the original files. In this case, a project with in-file changes contains only a list of file locations and settings with all the changes going directly into its files. Here I should also mention that Rigora has a very strict concept of file handling, which will prevent it from ever corrupting, so Rigora will never corrupt your files. Now that we made clear the different modes of operation, we can proceed with adding our files. Here from the Documents tab, I add my files. Now you see that Rigora supports common bilingual file formats like Excel, workbooks, XLIF, STL, XLIF, TMX, and TTX, and configurable parsing of arbitrary XML and delimited text formats. Now, as we mentioned before, this version of Rigora can run a large variety, more than 300 standard checks on the files within a project. And we can see some of the most commonly used options here in the checks window, like consistency check, direct and reverse, common checks like punctuation, tag, and placeholder matching, which are configurable for various language pairs, the check for partially untranslated source words, or check for invalid characters based on the target language alphabet. But one of Rigora's best features is the immense flexibility in customizing checks for your needs. You can add or remove checks as well as customize their properties from this window here. That's where everything happens. So, for example, you can use Boolean operators such as AND or to customize the checks with any combination from the 300 plus options. To do this, right-click, add new check. And now in this window, we can create the logical sequences of checks. For example, I'm going to create a completely new check, source contains, and here is where I write my word in the pattern section, regulation. And now I'm going to choose my logical operator and I will add a new condition the target does not contain the word reglamento. Great. So now I have a completely new check, and by clicking here I can see its properties. I can rename it if I want to, and I'm ready to save it and run. Here it is. Now a new check has been added, but it's not just that. You can see in this window we have all these different standard commands. We have the different logical operators, and we have a very special feature for glossary checking, and this is GAR. GAR for short, for Glossary Adherence Review. So Glossary Adherence Review provides stemming support and checks against external glossaries, as well as in project, using all project translations as a glossary to verify the correct translation of all terms. So how can we use that? It's simple. We select GAR, and here we can add our glossary. You can see the supported file formats. Let's say I will add a TMX file, and of course I have to choose a TMX file, for example here, and that's it. Now I have added my GAR. I have added a glossary and my GAR check. There it is. You can also employ .NET regular expressions in Rigora, greatly expanding the capabilities of what can be achieved using our product. And there are different ways you can run checks. So you can run all the checks from this checklist at once by right-clicking and select Run. Ooh, that was fast. You see how less than a second, and you can see all the errors, the warnings, and so on. But you can also run checks individually. For example, I can select this check, run, and here it is again. My error list that has been created with all the errors of this error type and includes info on the number of errors and their locations, for example, in segment 2. Now you can see that for each error, Rigora will activate the file and highlight the string that contains it. And when an error is fixed, it is removed, of course, from the check results window. Another very useful feature is identifying false positives. Let's say that, this is a false positive result, so you can right-click and mark as false positive, and in this case, it is gone from the error list. It's removed. Also, what you should know is that Rigora can perform a global search and replace in tags and in text excluding tags. And after running a check, you can also export the resulting report as an XLS file. In the ribbon up here, we select check and export check results for test 1. Great. Export, and now we have our results in an XLS file. At this point, it is important to also mention two very innovative features of this version. First, Rigora treats text and tags separately, meaning that tags will no longer confuse the spell checker. Tags belonging to different categories will now be displayed differently, and Rigora can display tags in different ways by choosing any of these tag modes. Also, Rigora uses the Windows spell checker by default, the one that you have in your computer, but you can also integrate additional spell checkers, specifically handspell dictionaries. Handspell dictionaries can be connected to Rigora via Tools, Options, and handspell menu down here. So here you can add your dictionaries in any language you want, and that's where you can decide if your connected handspell dictionaries are to be used by Rigora for stemming or for spell checking. So when we are happy with our changes and we are ready to save them, from the ribbon up here we select Project, Export Change Documents. Remember, this is the process we have to follow when we are working on the embedded mode because the changes do not overwrite our target files. So Rigora, with this option, will export only the files in which you made changes. But you can also select the Export All Documents, which will export all project files like changed and unchanged ones. Among all the options, you can also use Rigora to do file conversions. If you select Export Items, you can export every info of the project in a number of formats like Excel, TMX, DocX, XLeaf. Or you can choose Export Unique Items. This allows you to export only the repetitions. So you can export repetitions in TMX format. And to do this, select a minimum number of repetitions, I say 2, and Rigora will export all the strings of the project that are repeated 2 times, or more if you select a bigger number. And this feature is time-saving and helps with translation consistency in big projects because before actually running the project for translation and dividing it to different translators, you can provide the translation memory with the translations of these most frequently used segments. Now, Rigora is indispensable in machine learning and data cleaning because it supports the TSV file format, which is a standard for machine learning training and inference, and is capable of using regular expressions to clean data as well as these 300 different types of filters. Rigora has been the secret weapon of our team. We have been able to complete huge and complex projects which could not be completed with any other commercial tool but Rigora. All in all, as you can see, Rigora is a highly versatile and sophisticated tool while remaining easy to use and navigate. Although computationally powerful, thanks to its in-memory computing technology, it is ultra-fast. It offers a range of checks and check customizations that no similar tool can compete with. So if you would like to know more about Rigora, feel free to contact us at markham@logrusglobal.com. And thank you for watching.